Welcome to Keentel Engineering. Today we're covering TVA's new cluster-based interconnection queue. What changed, what it costs to enter, how studies sequence, and what it costs to exit. TVA posted its revised Large Generator Interconnection Procedures on October 1st, 2024, effective November 1st. The old serial first-come, first-served queue is gone, replaced by a cluster process under FERC Order number 2023. If you're developing generation in TVA territory above 20 megawatts, this framework now governs your timeline, deposits, and cost exposure. Under the old serial queue, projects were studied one at a time in timestamp order. A single withdrawal forced every downstream project to be restudied. Speculative filings with no real site control clogged the line for serious projects. The cluster model collects all requests during a 45-day annual window and studies them together. Every project in that window is equally queued. No advantage to filing earlier within it. Earlier annual clusters outrank later ones, but inside a cluster, position is flat. The competitive dynamic has shifted from speed to readiness. Every project pays a non-refundable $25,000 application fee. Study deposits scale by size. $150,000 for projects under 75 megawatts, $200,000 for 75 to 199 megawatts, $300,000 for 200 megawatts and above. On top of that, a commercial readiness deposit equal to twice the study deposit is required at entry. A 200 megawatt plus project is posting $925,000 before the first study begins. You also need 100% site control at submission. Full rights to develop, construct, operate, and maintain the facility for its expected operating life. The process runs in defined phases. The 45-day cluster request window opens every January 15th. A 60-day customer engagement window follows. Scoping meeting, OASIS posting of the anonymized cluster list, and execution of the cluster study agreement. Fail to execute and your request is deemed withdrawn. The cluster study runs 150 days, power flow, stability, short circuit, and alternative technology evaluation across the whole group. Withdrawals can trigger a cluster restudy at another 150 days. The interconnection facilities study adds 180 days of individual detailed engineering, then LGIA execution and construction. Multi-year path even on schedule. 3 upgrade categories, 3 allocation methods. Substation network upgrades split per capita per generating facility, not by megawatts. 2 50-megawatt plants share equally with one 300-megawatt plant at the same substation bay. System network upgrades allocate by proportional impact. Each facility's share reflects how much it drives the need for that specific upgrade, posted by category on OASIS. 2 identical plants at different POIs can carry very different shares. Interconnection facilities are directly assigned to the customers using them, split per capita where shared. Funding customers earn transmission credits under the LGIA. Before the cluster study starts, no penalty. After it begins, costs escalate with progress. During or after the cluster study, the floor is twice your study deposit. During the cluster restudy, the greater of twice the deposit, or 5% of allocated upgrade costs. During the facilities study, or before LGIA execution, the greater of twice the deposit, or 10%. After executing the LGIS, or if the facility never reaches commercial operation, 20% of allocated upgrade costs. Penalty funds pool per cluster and are applied first to remaining customers' study costs, then to offset cost increases they absorbed from projects that left. 3 off-ramps exist when TVA's own studies blow up your economics. The no material effect exemption is always available. No penalty if your exit doesn't materially affect cost or timing for anyone remaining in the cluster. The restudy off-ramp. No penalty if your allocated costs rose more than 25% between cluster restudy reports. The facilities study off-ramp. No penalty if costs rose more than 100% in your facilities study report compared to the prior cluster study figure. These thresholds are your protection against economics the studies quietly destroy. 5 takeaways. The January window is a hard annual gate. Miss it, and you wait a year. Front-load your readiness. Site control, fees, study deposit, and the 2 times commercial readiness deposit are gating requirements, not paperwork to tidy up later. Model withdrawal exposure as a real line item. The 25% and 100% exemption thresholds are your planned exit conditions if economics deteriorate. Your costs are coupled to your neighbors. Both per capita and proportional impact allocations move with cluster composition. And storage and partial service requests have real flexibility. TVA will study storage at your proposed charging assumptions, and injection limiting equipment allows study below full capacity. When did the new LGIP take effect? Posted October 1st, 2024, effective November 1st, 2024, replacing the serial queue with a cluster process under FERC Order number 2023. What project size triggers the LGIP? Generating facilities exceeding 20 megawatts. 20 megawatts and below use the small generating facility procedures. How is queue position determined? All requests in one window are equally queued. No benefit to filing earlier within it. Earlier annual clusters outrank later ones. How do deposits escalate? The commercial readiness deposit starts at 2 times the study deposit, tops up to 5% of allocated costs before restudy, and 10% before the facility's study. What's in the cluster study report? Power flow, stability, and short-circuit results, non-binding cost estimates, each customer's allocated share, and alternative transmission technology evaluation. Can a project be modified after filing? Up to a 60% decrease in output is pre-approved before returning the executed cluster study agreement. Any POI change is always a material modification. Can queue position be transferred? Yes. If the acquirer takes over the facility, the POI stays the same, compliance is maintained, and TVA is notified. What is the difference between ERIS and NRIS? ERIS delivers on an as-available basis using existing capacity. NRIS builds upgrades for native integration, allowing network resource designation up to full output. If you're developing a generating facility larger than 20 megawatts anywhere in Tennessee Valley Authority territory, the interconnection rules changed fundamentally in November 2024. TVA replaced its old serial queue, where filing early gave you a competitive edge, with a cluster-based process aligned to FERC Order 2023. Now there's one annual intake window, 45 calendar days, opening every January 15th. Miss it and you wait a full year. There's no rolling queue to slip into anymore. To even submit a valid request, you need to arrive ready. That means 100% site control. Not in progress, not pending. Done. A non-refundable $25,000 application fee, a study deposit scaled to your project size up to $300,000, and on top of that, a commercial readiness deposit equal to twice the study deposit. So a 250 megawatt project is looking at nearly $1 million before a single study runs. Once you're in, every project in your annual cluster is equally queued. No advantage to filing on day 1 versus day 44. That shifts the competitive dynamic entirely away from speed and toward readiness. Your cost exposure depends heavily on what else is clustered with you and where everyone connects, because system upgrade costs follow proportional impact. And if you need to exit, withdrawal penalties escalate from 2 times your study deposit up to 20% of your allocated network upgrade costs after you've executed an LGIA. Though cost spike thresholds at 25 and 100% give you off-ramps if TVA's own studies blow up your number. At Keentel Engineering, we help developers in TVA territory get queue ready. Feasibility studies, POI analysis, deposit strategy, and interconnection application support. For more information, visit keentelengineering.com.